If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey there, it's Ryan Seacrest for Safeway. Now through August 28th, it's back to deals time where you can enjoy store-wide deals and earn 4 times points. Look for in-store tags to earn on eligible items from Triscuit, Starbucks, Frito-Lay, Ziploc, Charmin, Charmin Ultra Soft, and Tide Liquid Original. Then clip the offer in the app for automatic event-long savings. Shop in-store or online for easy drive-up-and-go pickup or delivery. Subject to availability. Restrictions apply. Visit Safeway.com for more details.
I'm no tech genius, but I knew if I wanted my business to crush it, I needed a website now. Thankfully, Bluehost made it easy. I customized, optimized, and monetized everything exactly how I wanted with AI. In minutes, my site was up. I couldn't believe it. The search engine tools even helped me get more site visitors. Whatever your passion project is, you can set it up with Bluehost. With their 30-day money-back guarantee, what have you got to lose? Head to Bluehost.com to start now.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, August 4th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on the context of those stories, and try to help each other understand.
Today, why a rollable concept laptop is now a reality, and apparently a good reality.
Who would have thunk it? I'm Tom Merritt.
And I'm Robb Dunewood.
Let's start with what you need to know with that big story. The Verge's Antonio Di Benedetto has a review of Lenovo's ThinkBook Plus Gen 6. Now, why is that today's big story? Well, because the ThinkBook Plus Gen 6 is Lenovo's laptop with a rollable screen that you would be forgiven for thinking was just another CES vaporware concept, but now you can buy it for $3,299. And Di Benedetto says it's good. Actually, he used italics. He said it's very good. The Gen 6 has a 14-inch OLED display with a 2000 by 1600 resolution, 120 hertz refresh rate. But what differentiates it from every other laptop that meets those specs is that you can press a button and it will unroll into a 16.7-inch version of the same screen. It takes about 8 seconds for it to do it, but he said the motor's not super loud or anything. If you try to close it before rolling it back up, it actually emits a high-pitched warning tone. And if the battery gets below 5%, a countdown timer starts until it will automatically unroll the screen, so you don't have the battery die with it extended. So it's doing things to try to prevent you from damaging that rollable screen. Lenovo claims the screen is rated for 30,000 hinge openings and closings and 20,000 rolls up and down. Di Benedetto said in doing the review, he kept it unrolled almost all the time he was working with it. He's like, yeah, I unrolled it when I opened the laptop and then rolled it down to close the laptop. The screen delivers, in his words, punchy colors and crisp, bright details from the flexible OLED. He also noted that it was good for not only productivity, as you might imagine with multiple screen size, but also eye-level video calls, because the webcam floats up when you unroll the screen. The negatives are that the laptop is about a pound heavier than a 13-inch MacBook Air, in part because it has an aluminum chassis, but also because you have extra hardware in there. The hinge tilt is limited, so if you are in the 14-inch mode, you can't tilt it as far back as you would a normal 14-inch laptop. And it's got a plastic screen. because it's flexible, because it's rollable. So the screen wobbles and creaks and has a few ripples. It doesn't sound like it's like, bubbles or anything, but just the kind of thing you would see in any foldable screen, sort of the divot kind of things. He said most of the time he didn't notice it. He also really liked the trackpad, calling it Mac-like, unlike other Lenovo laptops that he's tried. He did not like Lenovo's workspace software, which is meant to help you manage multiple windows in that larger screen space, but found that Windows 11 did a fine job for this. Rob, what do you think? A rollable, it's here. It's a little expensive, but you could buy one.
So this is something I don't think I'm in the market for it today, because any laptop that weighs more than a couple of Rice Krispies, I'm complaining that it's too heavy. But this, back in the day when I was carrying a bag and going to sales calls, more screen real estate on your own PC when you don't have to borrow someone else's monitor, or you don't have to, rely on always having to project something if it's just you and one other person. This would be ultimately great. And when I initially saw it, I'm thinking, right, yeah, this is CES vaporware. No one's ever going to build this. But the fact that this thing is something you can actually go out and buy, that's pretty impressive. And I think some people will really look at this that are doing the type of work where they just need more screen real estate all the time when they're working on the road.
Yeah, it is a bit of a niche product, especially at that price point. We'll see if they get better at it, if it sells well enough that they keep developing it, get rid of some of those ripples, make it a little faster, make it a little less heavy, that sort of thing. But I do think that this is a very good review for this sort of thing, to say like, yeah, this is worth the extra discomfort if you're going to get advantage from that extra screen. And the one thing that really stuck with me was, it was often described when Lenovo showed off the concept as like, when you need it, you can unroll it to a larger screen. And DiBenedetto found like, yeah, I just always unrolled it. Basically, it became, I had a larger screen without having to have a larger package when it was folded up.
The promise of this is that Lenovo makes more than just a few laptops. They make and sell a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So if they're doing it, that means their competitors are going to do it too, which means that there's going to be more innovation and this technology will get better. What I'm looking for is not the vertical roller, but it's the horizontal roller,
the side,
where it gets wider. And, whoever taps that is going to sell a lot of them if it works, because that's what people really are looking for, is to have that real estate to where it looks like you've got two monitors as compared to maybe one stacked on top of another. So I'm just happy that the technology is actually a real thing that you can go and buy, because that just means it's going to get better.
Yeah, I'm imagining somebody sitting down at the coffee shop and then just wrapping the screen around them 360 degrees.
Hey, you know what? That could be like a nice gaming rig as well. You just you just get in and just pull the screen all around you. You're inside of a bubble of a screen. Like one of those motorcycle cages where they're doing flips and stuff inside of the cage. That would be kind of awesome.
Yeah, I love that idea.
DTNS is made possible by you, the listener, thanks to Michelle Sergiu, Kirk Stephenson, Miranda Janelle, and our brand new patron, Syed.
Yay, Syed, good new patron.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay, and you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick two. What if you could have all three? You can with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast hyperscaler for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload for less. Compared with other clouds, OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Try OCI for free at oracle.com/dailytech. Oracle.com/dailytech.
Hey folks, it's Mark Marin from WTF. Today I want to talk to you about Boost Mobile, offering reliable nationwide coverage backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Love your service or get your money back, no questions asked. Boost Mobile offers the coverage, network speed, and service you're used to, but at more affordable prices. Why pay more if you don't have to? You can get an unlimited plan for $25 a month that will never increase in price, ever. No price hikes, no multi-line requirements, no stress. Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or find them online at boostmobile.com. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 per month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Hey there, it's Ryan Seacrest for Safeway. Now through August 28th, it's back to deals time where you can enjoy store-wide deals and earn 4 times points. Look for in-store tags to earn on eligible items from Triscuit, Starbucks, Frito-Lay, Ziploc, Charmin, Charmin Ultra Soft, and Tide Liquid Original. Then clip the offer in the app for automatic event-long savings. Shop in-store or online for easy drive-up-and-go pickup or delivery. Subject to availability. Restrictions apply. Visit Safeway.com for more details.
Is your AI built for everyone? Or is it built to work with the tools your business relies on? IBM's AI agents are tailored to your business and can easily integrate with the tools you're already using. So they can work across your business, not just some parts of it. Get started with AI agents at IBM.com. The AI built for business. IBM.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
Yonhap News reports that a truck carrying approximately 12,000 Samsung devices was stolen near Heathrow Airport in London. The products were being moved from the airport to a warehouse. It contained about 5,000 foldable phones, 5,000 Galaxy Watch 8S devices, and some S25 and A16 models. It totaled about 9 million euros worth of phones at retail prices. Police launched an investigation and found the stolen containers, but not the phones.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first, nor will it be the last, like, big bunch of phones got stolen. But I think the fact that it happened at Heathrow and the fact that it's the foldable phones that just got announced is probably why it's catching a little more attention here today. Plus, you know, it'll make the basis for a great action movie someday.
That's true, but here's the thing: nobody's going to get cheap phones now because these things. I'm certain that the IME, codes have been locked on these particular devices. So what they will probably be used for is spare parts.
Yeah.
Or unsuspecting folks who think they're buying a brand new phone. They don't know they get one and then they get it and it's bricked. So yeah, you got to be careful when you're buying phones in parking lots because they generally probably did not come legitimately.
They fell off a truck that had been stolen.
Exactly.
In this case. Baidu announced that after rollouts of joint autonomous taxi service in Asia and the Middle East later this year in partnership with Uber, the company's next market will be Germany and the UK in 2026 in partnership with Lyft. That all pens regulatory approval, of course. Baidu provides the Apollo Go vehicles for these enterprises, and Lyft will enable the booking system for riders. Lyft recently acquired a company called FreeNow, which has existing service in Germany and the UK.
This is a really cool way that Baidu is getting into this market. They say, we'll build the cars. We know how to do that really well. We'll let everybody else work on the logistic systems. That literally is another business. I mean, to get as good as what Uber or Lyft have gotten doing what they do, you have to do what Uber or Lyft have done for as long as they've done it. So this is a good move from Baidu. They want to be in this market, but they don't have to make the systems. They just have to build the cars.
Yeah, I feel like that's shaping up. I think in the next 5 years, autonomous taxis are going to be a regular thing, certainly in city centers. And it seems like the industry is shaping up for car providers like Baidu and Waymo, and then logistics services like Grab Taxi, Uber, and Lyft, of course, to say, like, we're going to have two parts of this. The companies that make the cars probably aren't as good at the ride hailing as the companies that do the ride hailing. And those companies either never did or gave up on the idea of developing their own cars.
Malicious hackers are always attacking something, and in June and July, they targeted link wrapping services from security company Proofpoint and cloud communications company Intermedia to get users to visit phishing pages that tricked them into entering their Microsoft 365 credentials. The attackers compromised email accounts protected by Proofpoint and Intermedia. They short malicious links and then send them from a compromised account, which would wrap the link. The link wrapping is meant to rewrite URLs to a trusted domain that scans them to block malicious destinations. The shortened URLs protected them from detection, and the link wrapping made them look legitimate to recipients. Cloudflare's email security team discovered the practice.
Yeah. This is a good news. They stopped this, but if you clicked on a link in June and July, you might have gone to one of these phishing pages. And the link wrapping was the thing that's new here, right? Using a compromised account isn't new anymore, but wrapping that link so it's harder to tell if you're looking at the link that it's not a real link is the key.
That's the problem. We the end users we have a hard time winning for losing, because we're told, what do you do? Make sure you look at the links, and it needs to say that it's who it says it's from. So we're doing that, and now you can't even do that anymore. It's like you just need to know that the links you're clicking on are from a trusted place. You just cannot click on links regardless of whether they look legitimate or not. Yeah,
the advice is go enter the link yourself. Don't click on a link from someone unless you're 100,000% sure that that's safe. But if you enter the link yourself, don't copy it. Don't look at the email and then enter that link. But go to the domain yourself, and then you should be a little fine. But that's inconvenient, right? A lot of times it's way more convenient to be like, but I want to get right to that one page, et cetera, et cetera. We have a couple more developments in the ongoing saga of game platforms delisting adult titles and blaming payment processors for having to do so. First, itch.io is re-adding some adult games as long as they're free, and even advising some companies like, make your game free and then we can relist you. Those do not need to go through payment processors, so they feel like they can do that. Meanwhile, MasterCard released a statement saying, quote, MasterCard has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations. Pay very close attention to the words they use there. PC Gamer did a great job of untangling seemingly contradictory statements from multiple parties, because Steam and Valve are saying it's the payment processors. The payment processors like Stripe and PayPal say it's because of the credit card companies. It's because of the banks that they work at. And now MasterCard's saying, oh, it's not us. Alternative payment processors, like companies like Veritel and CCBill, do accept credit cards and still can process payments for these adult titles. Valve says that the payment processors like Stripe and PayPal did put the pressure on them, and they told Valve that it's because of MasterCard's Rule 5.12.7. This is why I said pay attention to their words. That rule says that a merchant must not submit illegal transactions or any that, quote, in the sole discretion of the corporation may damage the goodwill of the corporation or reflect negatively on the marks. And the marks, of course, in this case mean the trademarks of the credit card company, that MasterCard logo. So if I'm reading all this correctly, MasterCard is able to say it's not evaluating games. It's not evaluating game platforms like Valve or itch.io, but it is pressuring payment processor partners not to process transactions that would harm the MasterCard brand. And you've got an activist group called Collective Shout out there providing the basis for the idea that the brand could be harmed, which could also explain why Veritel and CCBill can get away with this, because Collective Shout isn't going after them. They're going after Steam and they're going after itch.io.
So this is one of these situations where MasterCard is saying, no, we're not evaluating any games. They're going right to the payment processor and saying, let me holler at you right fast. We're not evaluating games, but don't you do anything that makes us look bad. In fact, don't you do anything that we think that you might think might make us look bad.
Yeah.
And that's how they keep their hands clean of it. So yeah, MasterCard is not telling, folks that we evaluated these games and they can't be on their system. They're telling the people who process, we're not evaluating anything, but you need to make sure that we remain happy in this relationship.
Yeah. And as PC Gamer pointed out, putting pressure on MasterCard to accept games that you think are legal, like we're not talking about illegal games, we're talking about legal games here, could then cause MasterCard to go, well, we're damaging our brand either way. And maybe they'll shift their emphasis. We'll see.
OpenAI says it now has 5 million paying users, up from 3 million in June, and ChatGPT now sees 700 million weekly active users, which is 4 times what it had this time last year. Meanwhile, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says Apple has formed a new team called Answers, Knowledge, and Information to make an app like ChatGPT. It could end up being a standalone app or a feature inside Siri, Safari, or other Apple products.
Basically, they're starting over from scratch, is what Gurman's saying.
Starting over from scratch, a few years late, and their CEO is saying things like, "We have to win in AI." Good luck.
Yeah,
good luck.
And they're not ruling out M&A, as you and I have talked about before. Cook said that last week on DTNS Live. I put forth the idea: what if OpenAI and Apple merge? That could solve Tim Cook's succession problem. It could solve OpenAI's cash problem.
I just want to hear some credible rumors on that. I know that was you just kind of having a
That's
thought
just me
experiment
coming up with an
thinking about
idea.
it. That's just you coming up with an idea. But please, let's hear some news on this. Let's let's hear some rumors, credible rumors. That would be great to talk about.
Maybe I'm manifesting it. I don't know. Recently, both here and on our live stream, we talked about Delta's plan to, in the words of its president, Glenn Hounstein, have a price that's available on that flight, on that time, to you, the individual, using an algorithm to determine it, aka AI pricing for you. Now, those recent stories caused U.S. lawmakers to send some questions to Delta, and their VP and Chief External Affairs Officer Peter Carter responded in a letter saying that, quote, "There is no fare product Delta has ever used, is testing, or plans to use that targets customers with individualized prices based on personal data." Carter further explained that the algorithm uses aggregated data that, and again I'll quote, "provides informed insight for our analysts." Carter says the company is evaluating the system, which works with tech from a company called Fetcher, and said that Delta does not share personal information with Fetcher. So I think he's trying to downplay the idea like we're not having AI look at you and say, you, Robb Dunewood, are booking a flight and we're going to give you a different price. But they are taking into account all the data they know to dynamically change the price, which airlines have always done. This just allows them to do it faster.
So here's the problem. When we reported this a couple weeks back, talking about this, it just seems like Delta was very gleeful in telling Earth, we're going to charge you more and use AI to do it. So they may have allowed some people to kind of run rampant with their imagination to think what was going to happen. And when you've got to come back and with legalese in your statement, very, very clearly tell folks what you are not going to do, you've already missed the mark here. So I don't trust anything Delta would say at this point until I see it in proof that you're not doing these things, because you may not be using this technology to target me directly, but are you targeting people in my zip code? Are you targeting people, where I'm calling from, where I live? Those are the kind of things that puts this into that gray area that Delta. I was really shocked that they said this so gleefully. This could have been something they didn't have to announce because there's no benefit to them in making the announcement in the way that they did.
Well, this is a common thing that happens these days in this world where everything catches fire and goes across social media in half a second. Glenn Hounstein was talking on his earnings call to his investors. And in his mind, he was saying things that investors would love to hear. We're using AI and it's going to increase revenue. And here's how. And that's why he was so gleeful. But you have to remember that anything that's public, you're talking to the entire world at once these days. And that story took off. It is not a surprise that Delta would target you based on your zip code because they already do that. They already use your IP address to say, people in this IP address tend to pay more for fares, bring that fare up. It's not targeting you directly, but it's doing that. Using AI to take more of those kinds of signals into account without knowing who you are, but to say we can give a better price to this person is why VPN companies often say, like, you can get a cheaper fare on your airfares by using a VPN, right? So I think this is actually less than he was saying, which is like, we're using this tool, we're testing this tool to kind of see if we can, refine that dynamic pricing that we already do. But the way he said it, in other words, to play it up to investors, made it sound a lot worse to the rest of the world.
It definitely did. It literally made it sound like, hey, we have figured out a way to charge people more for the same stuff we were already charging them as much as we could for. If investor speak, yes. Public speak, no.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a fine line. If there even is a line anymore between those two.
Speaking of prices, we have the amounts of the new price hikes on Nintendo products in the U.S. The original Switch goes from $300 to $330. The OLED original Switch goes from $350 to $400, and the Switch Lite from $200 to $230. Nintendo also raised prices on several controllers, the Switch 2 dock set, and the Nintendo Sound Clock Alarm. The price of the Switch 2 itself remains unchanged. Meanwhile, Nintendo is running a survey to ask users how they feel about digital games versus physical games, including the digital key cards.
Yeah, I don't think it means they're not going to do the digital key cards. It means how can we message it so that you are less mad that we do digital key cards. And these prices, these are pretty much in line to what I would have expected, honestly.
Yeah, tariffs are real. Things cost more to ship, therefore they're going to cost us more to buy.
TechCrunch has a write-up on a company called OpenMind that is building a software layer called OM1 that it would like to be seen as the Android of robot operating systems. OpenMind was founded by Stanford professor Jan Liphart. It launched a new protocol Monday called Fabric that can let a robot verify identity and share context and information with other robots. In other words, determine what the other robot is and then be able to share information so they can learn faster. Like, oh, everybody here's speaking Spanish. Here's how you speak Spanish. Let me teach you that, was one of the examples they gave. OpenMind will ship its first 10 OM1 powered robotic dogs by September for testing in people's homes. They want to gather data on how it works, how it doesn't.
There's going to still be big manufacturers or robots that are going to have their own proprietary stuff. But for everyone else that is just trying to dip their toe into the market, this is probably not a bad idea. If you can have a operating system that's a single language that everybody can learn how to code for and do things for, I think it just makes the industry move along a little faster than if everyone had their own individualized operating system.
Yeah, especially for consumer-oriented things or maybe some embedded system sort of things that would be in the enterprise, but you want to spend your money on the hardware development, not on the operating system. I'm not saying OM1 will be the one. I'm sure there's a lot of other folks working on similar sorts of things, but this one's got some good backing and got some good features, and certainly, getting written up by TechCrunch is not going to hurt it.
Vietnam's EV maker VinFast began operations at a new plant in India on Monday. The plant will source parts locally and is fulfilling orders for India as well as customers in nearby Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Mauritius. It can make up to 50,000 EVs per year. VinFast has also a plant in Indonesia set to go online later this year and production in the U.S. to start by 2028.
Yeah, that's a little later than they were expecting in the U.S., but I know everybody's like, are they going to move manufacturing to the U.S.? And they certainly intend to. What do you want to hear us talk about on the show? One way to let us know is our subreddit. We've got a vibrant subreddit over there. RW Nash is in there. Fred's in there. A lot of folks in there submitting stories and voting on them. You could be one of them. Reddit.com/r/Daily Tech News Show.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Banking with Capital One helps you keep more money in your wallet with no fees or minimums on checking accounts and no overdraft fees. Just ask the Capital One bank guy. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. He'd also tell you that this podcast is his favorite podcast, too. Ah, really? Thanks, Capital One bank guy. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, Jason has a tip and Kevin has an incredible coincidence.
Yeah, first, Jason wrote in. He was one of several people who pointed this out. In DTNS last week, we covered why politicians hate iOS 26. We had Justin Robert Young on to talk about it because a person can have political messages go to unknown senders and then not get notified about it. And so political spam, which can't be blocked as spam legally in the U.S. in other ways, could be blocked by the sender that way. Jason pointed out there is a feature in iOS 18 right now, and Jason has had it enabled since 18.5. If you go into settings, go into apps, then messages, then notifications, then customize notifications. So it's a little more buried than the one in iOS 26. There is an option to allow notifications from unknown senders that is enabled right now. You can turn it off, and then notifications for unknown senders will be turned off. It's a little less robust than the one in iOS 26, which has a folder and everything for that stuff. But you could stop being bugged by it. You could stop seeing the little red number show up and all that sort of stuff. Jason says, as soon as I found that option, I turned that bad boy to off. I realize there's not long before iOS 26 comes out, but hopefully this tip will give some people a little peace and quiet from political notifications in the meantime. And then Kevin says, as incredible as it may sound, I literally got a political spam text message that came in while I was in the process of listening to the recent podcast about political spam text messages. The iPhone dutifully paused the podcast to try and read out the spam text message to me. This change cannot come soon enough. Keep up the good work, Kevin.
I don't use an iPhone, but I would be searching for this setting as quickly as I possibly could to turn it off because it's just too much. It's weird to say, but I don't want stuff from people that I don't want stuff from. And if I don't know that I want it from you, you probably should just go on the list that you should never be able to contact me. It's kind of a hard stance on it, but I just don't want the spam. I just don't want the messages.
Yeah, and I like the way iOS 26 is going to handle it, where they'll put it in a folder for you so you can look through it real fast and make sure something didn't slip in there that you did want to see, and then just bulk delete the rest. Politicians and candidates running for office don't like it because they make a lot of money sending text messages to people and would have to do education to get people to accept these messages, and that's not going to increase the amount of money they get. I'm actually going to go on Politics with Justin Robert Young and talk to him and Michael Cohen, a different Michael Cohen than maybe you're aware of. This guy talks about campaign finances to discuss the implications of all this later this week, because it really has caught the attention of people in the political world.
It definitely has. Folks, we want to know what you're thinking about. So if you've got some insights into a story, share it with us at feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Big thanks to Jason and Kevin for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You can keep us in business. Become a patron if you haven't already. There's lots of good stuff over there in our Patreon community. Patreon.com/DTNS. Talk to you soon.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at Vanta.com.